What it do, KTTV? This is KT, and I'm coming at you live with another episode of the Daily K Podcast. And on today's episode, we have Miss Jane Taylor, owner of the Botshop, and we are live at the Tick It Out Makerspace. How you doing today, Miss Taylor?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm okay. I want to thank you for coming on and giving us a little information about the Botshop today. Okay. All right, so I guess we'll jump right into the interview. Can you give us a little background about you, about the space, and how it came to be?
Sure. As you stated, I'm Jane Taylor, and I'm the owner of the Botshop. I have been in educational robotics for 19 years, almost 20 years.
Okay.
I started off as an educator in Houston Independent School District as a science teacher, and started teaching robotics in 2001. So from there, I've was able to develop some sort of innovative programs and do some kind of cutting edge things at the time that I really didn't realize was too cutting edge. But I was able to create one of the earlier versions of a robotics curriculum for a school district and align it so that students were able to get credit for doing robotics as early as 2004. Whoa. And so that kind of led to, and then I also designed a competitive space for students who were underserved and underrepresented and came from just all different types of backgrounds, and designed a contest that was low cost and easy to do. So we were able to kind of scale robotics pretty quickly through HISD. And after 8 years of being pretty progressive and effective in doing that, I finally went and got some training. Okay. I've been training hundreds of teachers and impacting, thousands of kids through my work, but I honestly was just solving problems. It's not that I had any formal training for robotics. I just was a geek who taught myself how to code and taught myself how to build and things like that. So long story short, I ended up going to Carnegie Mellon Robotics Academy. Wow. Very prestigious place to learn for your first time. So after 8 years, I finally got training, and I stayed there for a month. I took all of their classes.
Yeah, getting it in.
I did. I got it in. I learned everything they had to offer. And upon leaving, my partner and I were approached by Robin Shoup, who was the director of the Carnegie Mellon Robotics Academy. And mind you, this is the national lab for robotics. He approached us as we were on our last day and pretty much told us he didn't think it would be a good idea for us to go back into the classroom.
Yeah. Too much. You got too much power now.
Y'all are so far ahead. Y'all are doing some really innovative things, because we didn't realize that no one had a robotics class. I didn't realize. It made sense to me that we should have them. And I didn't think I should have to wait 10 years to get it. So I did it at a time when maybe wasn't the most popular or even known thing. So we were doing a lot of things. So he pretty much convinced us to leave our classrooms and start a business. And he backed it up by giving us the resources to do it. So I started my business. I started Botshop in 2009 as a summer camp, and using the resources from Carnegie. They gave me all the software they produced. They gave me the Lego-based robots, and they gave me some metal-based robots. So pretty much everything I needed to start a business. And so I came back to Houston and did that. Started Botshop. We started doing summer camps, and we went from there to doing consultancy, so working with school districts, schools to actually design programs similar to the ones that we were successful in doing. And so the rest is kind of history, because now I definitely am associated with or run mostly all of the competitive robotics competitions here in Houston that impact students who are pretty much kinder to 8th grade. So that's a very long intro.
Yes, but
my background.
But that was some powerful and informative info. So because that Carnegie, just from hearing that with what's the other school, the Carnegie Hall.
Carnegie Hall.
Yeah. So all that other stuff is just prestigious.
Very prestigious.
Yeah.
It's this particular lab, like I said, this is the national lab for, you know, the U.S. government obviously has labs to study different things from renewable energy. And so a lot of the military work that, a lot of things we've seen happen in industry, a lot of things we've seen in military that includes robotics. Like when I was studying there, that research, it was in research mode. And now I see a lot of that same sort of those, I saw prototypes of things that there are currently in industry right now. For example, one of the coolest things I got to do was, this is in 2008, the summer of 2008, I took a ride in this autonomous vehicle called Boss. It was one of the first autonomous vehicles. Like, this is before Tesla. This is before any of that. And we were able to actually ride in that vehicle. So that same technology that they were working on at the National Lab in 2008 is now a big part of industry. Like, you see all of the autonomous cars. Everybody's trying to like race to have the first autonomous vehicle. And I just think about like, wow, some of that, not just that type of, but things with drone technology and just in oil and gas, like a lot of the things that we saw then are now actually in industry today. So it was definitely one of the most innovative things that I had done at that time. But to, just to go, they are like the most prolific organization around educational robotics that exists out there.
Nothing like having that behind your name. People know. Okay, so with coming back in there, what is the mission of the Botshop? So by coming back and getting set up, what do you want to accomplish from it?
Well, the mission, Botshop really has 3 missions. We are definitely, sort of the tagline for Botshop is bumper to bumper educational robotics reform. When I started this company, what I noticed is that there was a huge lack of diversity when it came to robotics. It also was, at the time, you had less than 5% participation from girls. And so what I wanted to do, along with my partners, actually to create programming that spoke to those particular areas. We knew that robotics was in its infancy and it was going to continue to grow, but we just did not want so many communities to be left out. So we designed programs that have reform at their core. So we look to create programs that are going to impact and include communities that would not otherwise have access. And so we create camps, we create curriculum, we consult with organizations on pretty much 4 things: how to construct robots, how to code them, how to compete with them, and how to use them as collaborative tools to build a STEM community with. So that's pretty much our mission. Our mission is to use the motivational value of robotics to excite students and teachers about math and science.
Sounds good. So how do you select the students that you work with?
Actually, because of my positioning in robotics as an industry, like I said, I started this company in 2009, so we've been around for 10 years. So we are kind of positioned naturally to be the leaders when it comes to educating educators. So I like to brag about the fact that, like, if you learned how to code a Lego robot, 9 times out of 10, if you learned it in Texas, you learned it from me. So I was a Lego education trainer for 10 years. So I worked for Lego Ed for 10 years. So we literally, so a lot of our clientele comes from the fact that we actually run competitive robotics events. So I currently am the coordinator for First Lego League. Here in Houston, we have 328 teams that play in that league, which is approximately 10 to 15 kids on the team. So I run First Lego League. I also run First Lego League Junior, which is for kinder through 4th graders. It's a non-competitive space, but it is Lego-based robotics, and we have 110 teams. I work with Harris County Department of Ed. They have the All Earth EcoBot. And I support those teams. So I get a lot of my clientele directly out of the robotics arena, out of the robotics field itself.
Okay.
I also work with a lot of collaborative because my main client, this space here that we're in, this space was created for kids.
Okay.
This is a maker space specifically for children to be able to, and specifically this underserved community that we're in, to have access to this type of learning. If you go to the suburbs, you'll find places like this sitting on top of each other.
Yes.
You'll have 3, 4, 5 of them.
Okay.
But within the loop in Houston's inner loop, you only have one other space like this.
Yes.
So the access is just not there, not just for the kids who are in these low income areas, but you also have some pretty affluent areas near here that do not have access to this very innovative, cutting edge, essential way to learn. So our clientele comes from all over the city, mostly, like I said, mostly school districts, starting from school districts and then finding us either through the school district, finding us through community groups. So you saw me working with the Girl Scouts, I work with Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, 4-H. You can't miss me, really. So, but a lot of like I said, a lot of it comes directly from being engaged with the robotics community. But then we also have families that find us. I love the stories of families who are like looking for affordable access to this because robotics can be very expensive. And we definitely, from the beginning, it's always been my strategy to make it affordable because that is the thing that has been the sort of the gate or the barrier is cost. So if I can move that barrier out, it's like a floodgate that lets everyone in.
It becomes a reality.
And so what I've been focusing on is like families that I connect with usually find me because they saw us at a competitive event or they were looking for the best cost and they can find us like that.
Okay. And so what other programs do you all offer here?
Yes, like everybody knows me from robotics, but they do not know that I am actually a STEM geek, period.
Okay.
We do aerospace here, so I love rocketry. I am a NASA nerd. Everybody who knows me knows I love me some NASA, always have. So we do rocketry here, so we teach kids. We do air compressed rockets, bottle rockets, fuel rockets, all the rockets. They get to build these rockets, launch the rockets, test the rockets, redesign those rockets, and then afterwards they get to take those rockets home. Those are their rockets. And for our air compress, they actually build the launcher too. So they get to build a launcher because it's a maker space. It's all about making things. And so we make rockets. We also make renewable energy vehicles. So we make solar cars, wind turbines, hydrogen fuel cell cars, and any devices that are powered by any of those things. So we look at solar, water, and wind. And then our other project, actually I have some back here, is drones. We do drone technology. So I actually serve as the consultant for a drone challenge, a middle school drone challenge. So I design a course and train the teachers and get the kids all excited about it. So we do drone technology here. And those are really our main things are robotics. We call it rage on STEM. It's a rage on STEM, but it's robotics, aerospace, green energy, and then engineering. Pretty much general engineering. Kids. I have clients who come in. They get privates because they have an idea that they want to work through, and so they can sign up for a class. We have all the equipment, we have all the Legos, all the brains, anything that if you need an embedded system, then those kids can come and they've imagined out a lot of different things, and that's our general engineering where you really don't have a set curriculum. It's a project that we're going to help you get to the end of. Sometimes it's science fair. Because sometimes it's science fair. Sometimes it's a STEM fair at school. And sometimes it's literally kids who just had an idea and they needed a place to walk through it. And it was just affordable for their parents to connect them with us. And they were able to work on their projects. Man, isn't that cool? I know. I wish there was a place like this for me.
Yeah, because to have
and the
access.
hood, not far from the hood. Accessible, and the cost is very affordable too. The typical robotics camps cost $500-600. You in the summertime you can have a camp here for under $200 for a week. That includes food.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And we have the the best trained instructors, because as I stated, we're responsible for training a lot of not only the professionals, the teachers, but a lot of the providers who are out there offering robotics as a after school. We train a lot of those people. So imagine if your kid gets to learn from me or learn from us.
Now, for the people who did not hear that, what you said about the week long, can you please give them that price one more time?
I sure will, because I'm I worked very hard on making this accessible and affordable to all. That is what it is about for me. For a robotics camp, for 4 days, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We sell that camp on average from $175 to $225, depending on the age of the child. Yes, so and more importantly is that the certificate for their learning, whether they're getting a certificate for completion of robotics, it's the Tech It Out Robotics certificate, meaning the person who's running these robotics competitions that the kids are going to. It's my certificate. So I've set the standard for curriculum in a lot of these learning spaces. So when you come here, it's not, oh, will my kid get on a robotics team? Yes, your kid is going to get on a robotics team because that teacher is going to recognize that brand as where this is where this kid learned. Well, that's probably where they learn. So, so it's not just sending them to a robotics or STEM camp. It's sending them to something that is linked to an actual pipeline for learning. Because any kid that attends our camps, whether it's for robotics, whether it's for aerospace, whether it's for drone, there is another space that I can connect them to. I build pipelines, so not programs. So if they start with junior with me, there is 4 other programs I'm going to put them in before they graduate from high school. Same thing with our drones, you know. And whereas you can go and find other places to take the kids, you can take them places. But the question is, what happens when the summer's over? You know, what happens when the semester's over? When that what you paid for is over, what happens with your child? Can they keep going down this pipeline, or is it like unconnected? We capstone, we done. It was fun. You know, they did something for the summer, or they did something for after school. Whereas with us, I hold on to these kids. There's a space for them to come back every summer. There's a space for them to compete with us. There's a space for them to just to stay there. Like we have progressions. So when you leave Lego, we have metal-based robots. We go from kids building a 12 by 12 10-pound robot to building a 5-foot tall 150-pound robot, and we have programming along the way and every coding language that goes with that progression. So what I try to tell parents is that I'm not selling a summer program. I'm trying to create a community that your kid can grow in. That's what makes us different from a lot of these the other sort of maker spaces, is that it does not provide that pipeline and that you can hold. You can ensure that if my kid loves this, they don't have to I'm not stuck at 8th grade because I don't know what they do next. Or if they love this at 6, when they get to 9, okay, what do I do?
You got that.
Not when you're with the Tech It Out Makerspace. You know what they're doing. You saw the other kids who the team they're going to. You already saw them. Because we have them all.
Okay, so then that brings me to the next question. So I know you said you got a team. So let's say you wanted to get somebody was interested. What kind of certifications would they need? And then what kind of certifications do you offer?
For teachers? So I tell you, if there's any educators listening to this right now, where's the camera? Educators. Let me tell you, I call education robotics job security. It's one of the youngest job titles you can hold. Like, that's a new position that is showing up on campuses. So to be proficient in it not only gives you a great pathway to leadership yourself, because there's so many districts who are looking for STEM leaders, not just people to teach the courses, but people who can lead the efforts in the district. And that position is usually, unfortunately, filled by people who don't have the proper experiences. So if you can get yourself trained and have a documented way to prove that you're proficient, like you're laying a foundation for yourself to not only be able to have that fun class that to teach on campus, but be able to offer solutions on a greater scale to the district, and maybe take it up some of the things that could be STEM. So I would just say, whatever you're trying to do, if it's education or robotics, then go do an online Carnegie Mellon course. You can get certified through Carnegie through their online courses. I would say try to attend an in-person training obviously, definitely come to the Take It Out Makerspace trainings. We have a 4-part series that if you wanted to be proficient and actually be a robotics teacher somewhere, you can go through all 4 of these classes, and they're very well accepted. We place a lot of robotics teachers. Like April and May is a very popular month for me, because we're working with a lot of schools who are going to lose their robotics teachers to help them identify a replacement, because that's the other piece that I'm sort of known for, is creating sustainable programs, like having a methodology that says that, okay, the program won't live in one person. It's about the strategy and the process that you have around the program, which is annual training for your teachers, connection to pipeline programs that are going to renew every year, like FIRST. So every year FIRST is going to have a curriculum. They're going to have a game. If you connect to that, then your teacher always have curriculum and always have a game. So I work on sustainability. So to answer your question, attending our trainings, obviously, but if not ours, then finding a well-respected series to get trained around the building of a robot, the coding of a robot, but more importantly, classroom management and curriculum. So try to do that. And for right now, my recommendation, obviously, for online will be Carnegie, and for in-person.
Yes. Okay. All right. And so for the training, what are the price ranges?
I told you how I do things around here, right?
Accessibility is key.
Accessibility is key for me. So a training is $150 for a 6-hour training.
Yes. And
yes, $150, and you get your certificate for those hours. I recommend 24 hours of training before you can call yourself proficient. Okay. That's what I think that it takes. 24 hours or 2 years of experience is what I think it really truly takes for you to understand what it takes. Well, what it takes to make an effective, impactful program. I think a lot of people are doing robotics, which is different from teaching robotics. It's 2 different things. Doing it is when you come in the class looks excited and everybody's doing things. Teaching it is when kids can speak about it, they can evaluate it, and they can present some ideas to other people. And a lot of teachers can't do that part. And that's what, to me, differentiates the facilitators versus the educators. Man, there is a difference. I guarantee you that. I've
should learned. Know. Yes, that's why I say I've learned. I've learned because, man, you got to facilitate it. Right. Okay, so now STEM, such a big buzzword. So what is your vision, and how do you see this impacting the future of education?
For me, STEM is definitely about the integrated thinking of all 4 subjects. It's not your science class. It's not saying, we're going to use technology in our science class. No, that's using technology in your science class. It's really the idea that in a learning experience that students should be able to ask questions like scientists. They should be able to either produce a new product or use technology to understand data. So it's the use of technology, not having it in the room. It's the actual use of it, to using it to evaluate or using it to produce something new. And for engineering, it's the idea of going through a process to get to a particular place and going, scientifically through that process to get to an answer that you can then repeat the process for. So teaching that actual process is like essential to a STEM learning experience. And then for me, math is the communicator. It is the communicator. And you have to be able to communicate in math. And it's literally it's the deciding factor on whether you're going to walk across that stage with one of these degrees, which is, for me, that is what the STEM movement is about. It hasn't changed. There's been a lot of sort of iterations of STEM, but it has not changed for me, because what I determine whether or not a STEM program is successful is, can you create opportunities for new scientists, new technologists, new engineers, new mathematicians who know how to do all those things I just talked about. Like, as an engineer, can I ask questions like a scientist? Can I speak math? Can I communicate math to other people? Can I actually produce a new product or a new process, or, use technology to answer questions? And I feel like if you're not doing those things, then you're probably not doing STEM. Because it's a very integrated experience. And so in each experience that we create, all four of those things are going to happen over and over and over again, because that's what STEM should be. It's not the separation of these and thinking of them in isolation. It's how can I, as a person who might be most interested in science, benefit from how an engineer goes through a process, or how my mathematician thinks or talks, or communicates. Like, I need to take my science thought and communicate it in math. So I think for me, if you're not creating these integrated thinkers and teaching them how to wear a true STEM hat, which is not one subject or the other, it's the integration of them, then you are not effectively creating a STEM thinker or a designer, a STEM designer. You're probably isolating, which is nothing wrong with that. I just wish more people could understand how to differentiate a science lesson from a STEM science lesson. So I can go on and on about that. You saw that.
I almost want to ask, like, how do you
differentiate? You literally. There's no quick answer to that. If there was a quick answer, I would say the quick answer would be, it's literally checklisting the experience. Like, literally saying, okay, what is the big question that they will be asking that they'll create a process around? Okay, I got my science.
Kind of like PBL, like you.
How you do in a PBL lesson? You would want to make sure that there are particular things that you experience. Well, the same thing is true with STEM. I think people mistaken hands-on experience with STEM.
I would say, okay. So, like, let's say we got a problem of somebody keeps stealing my stuff, and then the creator or the student has to create like something to keep the thing safe. So, like an alarm when it opens or something. What is that?
I think that can be by presentation. It sounds like it's something that you could definitely be a STEM project. You are asking them to create a solution to something. They would have to describe the science of it. So it wouldn't be just, this is my solution. Well, if you're going to have an alarm, what's the science behind this alarm? How does it work? Like, if you're going to produce a process or a technology, they're going to have this project that's going to be the end product, being able to talk about, like, what are some of the design processes they went through, like actual engineering concepts that you went through. So, like, literally going through and saying, are they asking, like, what's the big question that we're asking, and are we using our scientific process to answer that question? And then in doing so, how are we going to produce a product? And if we are, then what process will we use to do that? And how do we collect data? And how we use it to come up with a solution? And how can we answer it with math? Like, because at the end of the day, literally, this is like, there is a direct relationship between your level of math and whether or not you can get a STEM degree. Like, there is a direct line straight through. So I think that we sell a lot of dreams when we tell kids that they can become go into the field of STEM when they struggle in math. So I say, tell them that they can go into STEM, but fix their math.
Fix it.
You have to fix their math. You have to. You can't tell these babies that they're going to get this degree that you can't get if you're, like, behind in math. As a matter of fact, Georgia Tech, one of the most prolific engineering university, like literally they look at where was a kid in 7th and 8th grade on their math.
Okay.
If you have not taken algebra by your 8th grade year, you're probably not going to get into the top engineering colleges because you're not going to have the bandwidth to take all the necessary courses and make it up to AP like they expect. And so I'm not saying you can't get into a engineering college, but if there is a very competitive one, then if you didn't have algebra or you didn't perform very high, then it's just not going to happen. So I feel like it's more important for me, if you look at our camps and what I teach teachers, is to focus on strong fundamental skills. Because if you focus on the strong fundamental math skills and you teach to those by the time they make it to middle school and high school, then we've already created what they really need. They can add, they can subtract, multiply, and divide. Like really, that's it.
Yes.
If you really know those, then it set the foundation for you to really build on top. Unfortunately, a lot of kids enter 8th grade, 7th grade, and I would go down to 6th actually, and they're behind in measurement. And in fundamental math skills, stuff like multiplication and division. So anyway, that's another subject I could talk forever. About math.
Okay, man, I can
Teach
listen.
the kids math, people. So important. Don't skip teachable STEM moments. Don't do that. Like if you don't feel comfortable with it, involve someone else. Or take it to the smallest level that you could confidently speak about it. But to skip it is to create this misconception around kids that my creativity and my smartness and my tenacity will actually get me a degree in STEM. And it's not true.
No, the application.
No,
yes, okay.
It won't happen.
Okay, so now after students leave, how are they doing long term? So I know you say you kind of hold them, and then we talked about creating the bandwidth. So what are the success stories of students?
Oh gosh, I told you I was in robotics since 2001, right?
Yes.
So I got a lot of success stories.
Okay.
Let's just talk about I'll tell you a success story of students who are currently students in our Take It Out robotics camps. We have some students who started with us when they were 6 years old. Like I told you, I've been doing this for 10 years. So I've graduated a lot of kids who started when they were very young, who, and they progressed through programming. So for example, if they're in the Humble area, they were able to progress through EcoBot. And go from EcoBot and then be able to leave that programming and enter into other programs that they might have in that district, right? Which are not even Lego based, which are so they can compete in other. So I see a lot of kids on competition teams. I see a lot of kids, like I said, in the events that I'm having who have come through my camp. And to me, what that means is we're their way in. You come into the camp and now you found your community, and we can then point them. And so when I see you again, you went from being a parent and a kid who wanted to be a part of STEM to a parent and a kid who are a part.
Yes. Because
I see you at our events, not just my events. When I say my events, I'm saying the events, the competitive events that I run. We some other success stories are just simple things like kids coming in who didn't really know how to make friends because they were a little different because they liked different things, and so having a kid come in and feel normal. I know that's not a big giant success story, but for some kids that gives them their full life because they honestly thought that they were different and weird because of their interest. And so for them to be able to find a place where people celebrate you're MVP because of your math skills. You're the bomb because you understand science and because you can speak on these things. That is life-giving. That I think that's the thing that I enjoy the most is when you have kids who hadn't experienced that, who in one day they go from being a kid that not saying anything to their parents being where's my kid? Like, I never even knew he talked like that. One of the fun stories that I have was we have a camp in the Heights, and one of the things that we do at the camp is they have we play this is back in 2011, so let me 2011, 2012.
Okay.
But we would play Guitar Hero during the break, right? I thought it was important because a lot of these kids play video games, but they played by themselves. They didn't really play with other kids. So it was mandatory. Everybody had to play Guitar Hero. So I remember the first day a parent came and his son was pretty shy, and I told the son, that I had just met him. I was like, okay, well, we're playing Guitar Hero. And he's like, oh, my son he doesn't play video games like that or whatever. He's off to himself. I was like, oh, okay, sir. And then, so he leaves, the dad leaves. And so the son is being, characteristic of what dad said. And so, of course, that's not going to fly with me. I'm like, okay, listen, you can get on those drums, you get on his bass, but we're jamming right now. So anyway, he ends up getting on the drums or whatever, and like the kids are, during their break times, that's what they do. They play video games. We play games and things like dance parties, anything like that, because we're doing hard stuff all day. So long story short, we're by Wednesday, the third day, the dad comes to pick him up, and when the dad comes, he's standing there and he's not moving, and I'm like, what's going on? So I go over to dad, and he's like red in the face. His dad is like all red in the face, and I'm like, what's going on? And he was like, he's actually playing video games with other kids. I said, yes, he is. He's our bass player. And like his dad literally like was fighting back tears because he said, I've never seen him like that. Like, then he just told me, thank you. Like, thank you so much. And we get that story 1,000 times over in the summertime. Because for some kids, like, these things that we think are amazing, they are bullied over these things. They are given a hard time and like literally coming into this space where you're celebrated for these things. And even those kids who are not good in math and science, coming into a space where it's okay to get it wrong. And we got patience for you to learn it. We got patience for you to learn it. And it's okay, not only just the teachers, but all of these kids too want you to do well. So that feels really good to a kid to like be seen. Like, and for some of the kids in our camp, this is the first time that they're really seen. But the cool thing is that they don't lose it after summer. They do not lose it. I mean, kids being interested in math. Like one of my favorite stories from Katie was when, one of the things I do is long division. We do proportional thinking. So I teach the kids long division, regardless if you've had it in math yet. You're gonna be introduced to it. So I had some fourth graders. They were fourth graders. They were going into fourth. That's what it was. They were going into fourth. So they hadn't really done long division. I taught them long division, and then it was time to go. You needed to understand long division to finish the robot challenge, to get your robot to the point you were trying to get it to. And so it's so funny. So I end class. Then the next day, Wednesday, is a very interesting day at our camp, right? It's a very interesting day. Like, I tell everybody, come on Wednesdays if you want to see craziness. But so this is another Wednesday, and parents come back. They come the next day. Little girl comes running in. She's so excited, and her mom comes up to me. She's like, it was a long night. I was like, what happened? She's like, I spent most of the night going over long division. She doesn't even learn this until next year. But she would not rest until she understood it, because she needed it to solve the problem the next day in camp. So, and mom was like, she said, I don't know whether to be mad at you or to thank you. And she's like, I spent the whole evening talking about long division. But so to me, like, those are not, because the kids we get are really young. So for some of them, we do get to see them make it through the whole pipeline. I have students who I taught who were in those courses that I told you when I was a science teacher, who work with me for First Lego League. They come back, they volunteer, they coach teams, they build models. So I have a lot of as a matter of fact, one of the students, Melanie, one of my favorite students, just started coming back to volunteer with me like this week. And she's in her junior year as a mechanical engineering student, and Yeah, and I was able to show her pictures of herself in middle school, and we laughed. And now she's actually going to be coaching a robotics team, the same type of team she was on when she was the same age. And the best thing about that is that the school that we're working with is 16 Latino girls, elementary girls, 4th and 5th graders. And she's Latina, so I'm like, yes, you need to go and be what they need to see, because representation matters. Go be what they need to see. So it's So anyway, it's just I could go on and on about that too, because there's a lot of great success. But for me, it's if a kid can walk out feeling like I can do this. This is some hard stuff. This is the hardest week I ever had in my life, and if I can make it through this one, it's nothing I cannot do. That is the best story. That's the best sort of. Outcomes that we've had.
I would just say thank you for putting social emotional learning as important as
that is so right. I never even thought about that. You know what? I should use that language. But that is what it is. It is social emotional learning and being aware of, because we do a lot of that. We teach the kids how to get it wrong. Like, one of our theories is our work begins right after the first wrong answer. So literally, we want them to work until we get the wrong answer. Because when we get that wrong answer, that means now we're at a place where no one doesn't know. So now we can actually learn. So that kids are going back to school not afraid of getting it wrong. They're anticipating that at some point in this problem, I'm going to get the wrong answer. And that's when I'm going to pay more attention versus what they've been taught, which is you're going to get all the acknowledgement from the right answer. So I try to teach the kids where that's not my goal. I'm going to get right answers because I'm smart and I understand things. So if I'm learning, though, that's not what I'm after. I'm not after right answers when I'm learning. I'm after misunderstandings, and wrong answers are one of the best ways to know when you misunderstand something. So anyway, that's it. So I want every kid to feel like that, because I think it's important. It's important, and you need to know how to get things wrong. Like, it's not. You need to know I'm going to survive it. Because then you'll try more.
Growth mindset.
Is that another theory?
That's it.
Well, I don't know. Oh, because I've been out of the classroom too long. See, I need to hang around you so you can give me all the current. I've been out the classroom too long, so that's growth mindset.
Growth mindset.
Look at that. So now you got social emotional learning and growth mindset. Okay, I'm gonna have to start using those.
Yes, very important. But that's what you're doing, though.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just doing once again, just like I started this business, just solving problems and trying to do the right thing, and end up falling upon something. That's kind of what's going on here. I didn't even know it was a theory.
Trust me, it's big. So now the last one. Please give everybody your contact information. Get everything that you want to give, please, so somebody can get a hold to this.
Please, I hope people get hold to this. Like, I do not want to be the best kept secret anymore. But I can be found, obviously, on our website, which is BotShop.com, BotshopRocks.com. All of our courses, just click on register now to find our locations and our courses for kids and for adults. You can also, if you want to see some of the cool things that I personally do, I am a Google Next Gen Fellow. So I get to do some pretty cool things across the nation in my fellowship, as well as representing First in Texas. So I do a ton of traveling. So if you want to see some fun, innovative spaces that I find myself in, then follow me on my Instagram, which is Jane2Fly. I also am on Instagram. The Makerspace is on Instagram as Tech It Out Makers _Houston. And of course, I'm Jane Taylor on Facebook.